Alrighty, welcome back to my channel. We are going to be doing our teacher take on Abbott Elementary. This time we will be focusing on season 1, episode 3. And this one was titled Teacher Wish List. This one, all the teachers get to make a wish list and ask for stuff for their classroom. If you're a teacher, I definitely think this is one that you can relate with. If you're a parent, I'm sure you can relate because you get our wish list and have to decide how to help. And so in this episode, they all have different approaches to sharing their needs with the family. And Janine gets this really cool idea to make a TikTok, just like some of the other teachers are doing, to ask for stuff. And some of the seasoned teachers, one in particular, Barb, is very against it. And it's really interesting to see how the different dynamics unfold because, again, you have Janine, who's a newer teacher with these fresh ideas, and then you have Barb, who's a seasoned teacher and who is against making a video to ask for supplies. And so, one of the things that it was just really funny how this all started to play out. And I think that when we talk about teachers' wish lists in general, this can kind of be a sensitive subject. And I've always kind of asked myself too, what is the best way to go about this? Because yes, especially in my case, like I work in a public school and public education's free. So we wonder, why are parents having to supply all these things? But then if parents don't send their kids to school with supplies, where do they come from? Because I think many of us can relate. There are certain things that are easy to get from the district, from the office, whatever. And then there are things that are harder to get. And I think looking at their wish list, it was really cool to see how Janine's got fulfilled after making this video. She asked Ava for help. And then there was a little conflict with her and Barb about how they go about this. And I don't want to spoil anything, so I'll just kind of leave it. But just kind of my teacher take on a wish list. I try very carefully to tread lightly with what I ask parents for. I also try to make sure that it's not that I think parents enjoy it. Teachers are spending money on their classroom. I know I do. I do try to be reasonable about what I spend, but it's not always as reasonable as it should be. And I mean, you kind of get in this rut because you're going, well, if we don't have pencils, we can't do our work. And well, pencils should be something easy to get from the office. They're not always there, especially in like April, May. Supplies try to kind of dwindle out. And so I think when we're talking about the supplies as a teacher, I think there needs to be a balance of what we're asking parents for. And I think parents need to be a little bit more understanding. I understand too, like one of the biggest conflicts I know I hear just like on Instagram and Facebook and whatever is the debate about getting name brand supplies versus like supplies from the dollar store and getting frustrated when people are asking for the right things. And I think as teachers, we always have the best intention, at least on my list. I always make sure I put things that I know are going to be the best. Certain pencils that are off brand don't sharpen, they break our sharpeners. There are other things like crayons, some of those don't color. The dollar store dry erase markers, half the time are dried up and don't write. And so I think when we're asking for specific things, there's usually a reason, but I also get that not everybody can afford those name brand things. So I think that that's where like the line needs to be, like when we're asking for certain things. I do think there should be a standard of what the schools actually supplies versus what parents send, because there is a difference. Another thing too is headphones. While parents may think that it's kind of, why are they having to supply these headphones? One, I would want my kid to have a comfortable pair of headphones because not all headphones are equal. Two, even though I have like classroom headphones, they break throughout the year. So I always like that kids can start off with their own. And then if they break, I have ones they can use, forget them, whatever. And so again, those are like, headphones are also like a sanity thing though, because with the new era of everybody on Chromebooks right now from I mean, for me, it was my kids got them for COVID, and we still have the one-to-one Chromebooks. But having all those programs play in the background, it's very distracting. So that's one of the nice things about everybody having their own pair of headphones. When we also think about, I'm trying like markers and things like that, I don't always find a big difference with markers. Glue sticks, glue sticks do have a difference. I don't always think they have to be like the Elmer's glue, but I do think you have to be very conscious about which glue sticks you're getting because some of them don't glue. And if you're not sure, if you're a parent that's like on the fence, get one small pack and go home and test it and kind of see, is this something your kid can actually get away with using? And there are times too, like I buy certain things from the dollar store, but I have also learned my lesson. Like I did buy a class set of dry erase markers from the dollar store. Not one of them worked. A ruler, rulers are rulers, but like I have a classroom set. There are some things like we do just have classroom sets because it's easier. So I think overall, when we're talking about teachers' wish lists, I think it's trying. There are some things that I think just are nice and that are just kind of a community thing, like tissues. Tissues has been something I feel like teachers have been asking for in the classroom for years. Even like when I was a kid, you could bring in tissues, especially in like middle school, high school, they would give you extra credit for the tissues. In elementary school, it doesn't really matter. And I know like we do get boxes of tissues from the office. And anybody that's been in a school lately knows that that box of tissues works about just as well as the roll of paper towel in the bathroom. You know, when you try to mop something up and the mess just keeps getting bigger, that's kind of how the tissue goes. So just use your imagination, a kid blowing their snotty nose in the cheap tissue. And yeah, that's how germs are passed. So I think when we think about certain things, we have to be mindful and careful about like why people are asking. Yeah, you're right. The school they do supply tissues. They're not good. So you know what? To save myself, I do buy my class a box of tissues every year, and then or a big like thing from like Costco or Sam's Club that's on sale. And then I do have parents that donate too. Clorox wipes as well. Clorox wipes. I feel like I know there's misconceptions about or things about Clorox wipes and breathing things and blah blah blah. But like in my school, I'm in a classroom where I don't have a sink. So even like making a soapy bucket of water, which I have done when I've had a sink, but I don't have that option because I don't have a sink now. Things like that make it easier to clean. But Clorox wipes sometimes are just the easiest way to go to have the kids help too. And I think that also teaches them some good responsibility in cleaning up after themselves. And so we talked Clorox wipes, tissues. I've had parents send in like toilet paper, and I didn't really fully understand why because I don't have a bathroom in my room, but two, like we're just using the schools. I'm not trusting the kids with something that would like stuff the toilet. Hand sanitizer is always good. I also like to keep an extra couple bottles of soap in my classroom that if the bathroom's out of soap, which it always is at midday, especially when it's warm out and kids are like outside a lot more, I always keep like an extra cheap bottle of hand soap in my classroom that they can just take to the bathroom with them and use a little pump. Also for myself, because it's nice to be able to just wash my hands. I mean, especially before lunch and stuff. I think so. Hand hand sanitizer, I feel like is hit or miss. I mean, some years I get so much of it that I don't need any the next year, and then I just get more, and then I actually like. But I do think this is the nice thing too. Even if you feel like you're overbuying for certain teachers, I feel like myself, I always try to share my supplies, like the Clorox wipes and the tissues and hand sanitizer with the specialist teachers because those are people that never end up getting school supplies, especially like those little things. And so I think it's always important to try to give. So when I do have an overabundance, I do give it to them because they are also seeing our kids. And I know it's got to be kind of rough to be a specialist teacher, not able to get, so parents just, I know they're busy and they just don't think about it, but so I think I also like tissues, Clorox wipes, sanitizer. Those are things you kind of need multiple times a year. So I tend to ask for a little bit at the beginning because, again, you still have to store stuff. And every storage is different in every classroom. So even asking your kid's teacher like what they really need is a good idea. But one thing that I really